important point. You know, I was there when the RNC had their 50th luncheon to honor the March on Washington. And Representative Jim Sensenbrenner of Wisconsin, who sits on the Judiciary Committee, stood up and said something that was very surprising to the RNC chairman, Reince Priebus, and very surprising to myself. And this was about how he's going to fight to overturn the Supreme Court decision about the Voting Rights Act, Section 5. Tell us a little bit about this Voting Rights Act, Section 5, and why you think we should be concerned about what Representative Sensenbrenner is seeking to do.
Yeah, the Supreme Court in June said that the federal government does not have the power now to oversee the state election laws in 15 states, which incidentally included New York, and it included some boroughs of New York and not others. That's how out of whack the law was. And the Supreme Court said, you know what, in 2013, we no longer have to submit every election change to the federal government for approval. It's not 1965 anymore. There's been enormous strides in civil rights, and you don't need to keep doing this. Well, as you said, Jim Sensenbrenner stood up and said, by golly, I want to see the federal government back in the business of rejecting photo ID like they did in Texas, like Georgia's citizenship verification that the Justice Department rejected in 2009. A lot of other radical exercises of power over state elections. And why Jim Sensenbrenner wants to do this and put New York and other places back under federal control is beyond me.
Well, you know, Christian, in 2008 and 2012, the black voter participation rate exceeded all other groups. Am I correct?
That's right. And in places like Mississippi, there are more black elected officials than white per capita.
So this is not about race. This is about protecting the integrity of our electoral system. And you're talking to a guy that kind of understands about the lack of integrity in the electoral process based upon what I saw in St. Lucie County in the 2012 elections. So what do you think is the real purpose behind what the Obama administration is doing, Jim Sensenbrenner is doing? Because North Carolina, Texas, you talked about Georgia, they're going after these states. They're trying to reverse this law. They're trying to make it seem racial. What is the real intent behind these efforts?
Well, it's like so much with this administration. It's about power. Power is what they're after. And they want to have control over state election laws, whether it's voter ID or citizenship verification. And, you know, the founders gave the states the power to run their own elections because they knew it protected liberty. The more diffuse, the more scattered power was over elections, the freer we would be. But this is an administration that doesn't like freedom, and that's why they want the federal government to have power over state elections.
Well, Christian, I want to thank you for all the efforts that you are leading as far as standing up against this, because the last thing we need to see is for our great constitutional republic to become a third world voting system like Zimbabwe. So I appreciate you being on the show, and I will continue to fight and stand up with you. And I know Catherine Engelbrecht with True to Vote are doing some great things as well.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks so much. That was J. Christian Adams, who is a former Department of Justice election lawyer. We have to be very concerned because we don't want to see the United States of America all of a sudden become a one-party nation. And when you talk about controlling the electoral process, think about Meloise Richardson up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and what she was able to do voting 7 times. Federal government did not bring any charges against her. This is about the 10th Amendment. Alan West, guest host, and Steve Malzberg Show. We'll be right back.